Now, a new system of registering businesses is likely to be in place by September 28 this year. The new system forms part of reforms being introduced by the Registrar General's Department under the New Companies Act, which gives new processes and procedures for registering a company. The new system is expected to promote government effort to improve ease of doing business. Registrar General Jemima Oware joins us to shed more light on this. Good afternoon to you. Now, tell us why it has become necessary to change the old system of registering a company.
Good evening, Daryl, and all your valued customers.
It's Israel
and listeners. Israel, oh, okay. Good evening. Well, there's a need for us to amend the way we do business because the New Companies Act has mandated us to change the way of doing business. This new act was passed in August of last year, 2019. And clearly, we really have to upgrade the current e-registrar software that we use. The way of doing business is going to change in the sense that you will not need to come into my office with the regulations anymore. We have come up with new prescribed forms for all the 6 types of companies that we register in Ghana. Under the New Companies Act, you do not need to supply me with a Form 3, a Form 4, or regulations. You just need to download the prescribed forms that we have designed on our website, www.rgd.gov.gh. Once you complete all those prescribed forms, you can adopt constitutions that we have also prepared, different types of constitutions. Constitutions for a private company limited by shares, constitutions for a public company limited by shares, and constitution for a company limited by guarantee. We are doing this so that once you complete the prescribed forms, you just download those constitutions, and then once you pay whatever you need to pay once only, you get your certificate of incorporation. And so we are doing away with the certificate to commence business. That is a major change. And names of companies are now going to have suffixes at the end of the names for clear identification. So if you're a private company and a private company limited by shares, the name of your company is going to end with LTD or Company Limited. If it's a public company, it's going to be either PLC or Public Limited Company. If it's a company limited by guarantee, you have to end it with LBG, that is Limited by Guarantee. The whole idea is we want to be able to identify specifically which kinds of companies we are dealing with at a go. You don't need to go and swear before a commission of oath anymore. Once you swear on your own regard that you are giving us the right information, we will register the business, and you can have you can just get your certificate of incorporation, your documents from our system, and that is it.
All right.
So that we really need to let the public know from 28th, please go to our website and download the new prescribed forms that we have over there. Because if you come with the old forms, the system will not accept it. So, I mean, I've gone into more detail in the press releases that we've put out.
All right.
So we are here to respond to any questions that anybody might want to ask. Yes.
How significantly do you expect this to contribute to the ease of doing business?
Well, if you are able to complete these forms within the shortest possible time, you wouldn't need to come back to us and come and pay for the certificate to commence business. You do everything once, we give you a certificate, you start your life, you go on with it. I mean, in the past, you'd have to go and come back and come and pay for the second level. The most exciting thing is, I mean, I know people will love that one. You don't need to prescribe your objects unless you're a company regulated by a different entity. Now, every company that is regulated by another entity apart from Registrar General's Department would have to have a constitution and would have to prescribe objects. But from my system, you need to also disclose which sector you are operating in, so that for ease of doing business, if anybody wants to find information about this company, they will be able to find out the sectors they are operating from. But in the past, people could write as many pages for objects as maybe 2 or 3 or 4. That is what we've stopped now. You just disclose the sector you're working in, and then we will register you. But if you are regulated by a different institution, you will need to disclose which objects that you have.
All right.
Basically, these are a few changes, but there's one thing that I also have to let you know. The requirements for corporate governance has been strengthened. You cannot just appoint anybody to be a company secretary anymore. In the past, people could just, on the flare of a moment, decide who should be their secretary. Now you will need to make sure that the secretary complies with the requirements in the Act. The secretary must have a professional or a tertiary level kind of qualification. That didn't used to be the case. Now directors also have to swear a statutory declaration that they have not caused any company to go into insolvency in the last 5 years, or they have also not been committed or charged or committed for fraud. Now, this is just to ensure that we do not have charlatans running companies and drive them down into liquidation. We just want to make sure that when you start a company, you have the right credentials before you can carry on with it. That aspect is not going to be too easy for some, but we need to do that to make sure that when you are starting a company, you really, really want to start a company. Because Israel, there are other types of companies that most people do not even bother to register. For instance, the business name, you do not need anybody to swear to any declaration. You are your own person. You register, you make your profits yourself, you make losses yourself. But the minute you want to register a company, you be sure that you really, really understand the requirements before you register from now going forward.
Yeah. Now, away from business registration matters, you had a creditors meeting slated for this week over monies locked up with fund management firms. Are you making any progress?
I think it's going very, very well. This is the first time we're doing this kind of thing on a virtual means. I mean, trying to contact as many creditors or investors as we could on a virtual platform. And this has allowed them, quite a lot of people, to join into these Zoom meetings that we've had. But all of them are more anxious about when are we going to receive our money.
Indeed.
That has been the clarion call by almost every customer who calls me. I needed to do this creditors meeting first because it's required by statute for me to do that. And I needed to explain to them that apart from the investors, there are also other creditors that I needed to give information to. But next week, we are trusting that we'll hold the meeting for all the investors of the fund management companies and explain to them the government bailout package clearly so that they can decide whether to take up that option or allow me to liquidate the assets and then pay them a dividend. So that is what is happening. That's what's been happening.
What does that mean for the intention to start payments from the last week of September?
What that means is that we'll do the first round of first creditor meetings. There are 20 in all. So after we complete that first round, next week we will come up with a date. It could be 2 days because I'm having about 5,000 investors. And I don't think I can put them on the virtual platform, all 5,000. So I might have 2 class meetings. And after that, I'm trusting that in the last week of September, those who choose to take up the government bailout package will start receiving whatever monies are due them. But of course, there are terms that they would have to comply with under this bailout package.
All right. Thank you very much. Jemima Ware is a Registrar General.